LFA 101, the Undefeated, is going to be live Friday, March 12th at 9 p.m. Eastern. And before that, there will be two prelims, and the first one is going to be Umarov against Cody King. And Umarov is coming in with a 7-0 amateur career, some Shamrock FC fights, 6 finishes. Then he's 2-0 as a pro with 2 finishes. He's got good grappling. He's a good wrestler. He's got pretty good stand-up as well. So, I mean, I like pretty much all 3 facets of his game there. I just like him. I like him a lot in this matchup. I don't really pick prelims on LFA that often because it's kind of hard to get a read, I find. But for this one, I really do like Umarov. And Cody King is 1-1. He is 1-0 as an amateur. He's coming off a 3-year layoff and just facing a very dangerous opponent. So I really didn't do too much research for these prelims, guys. So take it with a grain of salt. But I'm going with Elmar Umarov. He might get it done by sub here. And then at 125, we have Abril Anguiano against Marisol Aurelius. And Anguiano's 3-0 as a pro with 2 knockouts. Faced pretty low-level opposition, but she's only 21. And then Ruelas she has a sub 500 record as an amateur, 1-2 as a pro, and she got KO'd in both of those losses. So I'm thinking that Anguiano's going to get it done here, but once again, I really didn't do too much research for these fights. So then, coming onto the main card, at 125, we have Mark Climaco against Palolu Nakanulua. Hopefully I did not butcher that name too badly. Hopefully not. And so Climaco trains at AKA American Kickboxing Academy, which obviously you love to hear. Lots of really good MMA fighters at that camp. And he was 4-0 as an amateur with 2 finishes. He's 4-0 as a pro with 3 finishes. So 8-0 total, amateur and pro combined. And as a pro, he's had 2 knockouts, 1 submission. He's 23 years old, looking like a really good prospect. And then we have Nakanulua, who is 5-3 as an amateur, 4-0 as a pro, 2 finishes, 1 knockout, 1 submission. Training at Extreme Couture, which you also love to hear. That's another really good gym. So he's fought pretty low-level guys as a pro, I'd say. He's 25. Both of them are young, athletic fighters, but I think that Mark Climaco has the edge, and that's where my pick is going to be in that fight. And then the next one, at flyweight, we have Alden Coria against Rashad Robinson. And I actually broke this one down a little bit on a earlier card that I did. I can't remember which one, if it was last card or 2 cards ago. This was supposed to be a prelim, and I was saying my usual spiel. I don't usually pick the prelims, but I was going to pick that one. And now it's been moved up to the main card. Alden Coria is he's shown really good stuff. 5-0 amateur career, 3-0 as a pro. He's young, fast, dynamic, athletic. I like him. I think this is a good spot for him. Not to reiterate too much of what I said last time I did this, but Rashad Robinson, 3-1, fought kind of lower level guys. I don't think he's quite as skilled as Coria is. He was 2-6 as an amateur, but I feel like his amateur career was a little bit tougher than what most fighters are going to have to face as an amateur. Like having to fight Victor Altamirano, that's definitely a tough one as an amateur. So, you give him that, but I still think that Coria has the edge in this matchup. And then moving on up the card, who do we have next after that one? We have Hunter Colvin against Obinwa Ikebana, and hopefully I didn't butcher that name either. A couple tough ones on this card, I gotta say. And Hunter Colvin, obviously a lot of you guys probably know him best from jiu-jitsu. He's a great jiu-jitsu practitioner. He's 2-0 as an MMA pro. But yeah, in BJJ, he's got the black belt, lots of experience on Submission Underground. He's competed at the Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds. He's fought some really good guys, like Rafael Lovato, for example. It's about as good as it gets in the BJJ world. He's training at Elevation in Colorado, which you also love to hear. Lots of good guys fighting out of that camp. And he was saying in an interview he's been getting some good rounds in with pretty much everyone, but with Neil Magny especially. So you definitely love to hear that coming in, because obviously kind of the concern with a guy like Hunter Colvin would be how is his stand-up going to be? Like, we know he has the jiu-jitsu. We know he's going to be unreal on the ground, but getting those rounds in with those UFC guys and guys like Neil Magny gives me a little more confidence in his stand-up game for sure. And Ikebana, we just saw him on the prelims, I believe. He just fought on the prelims of an LFA event, got the win by an armbar, I believe, and 2-0 as a pro. And you'd think he might have the striking advantage here. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it'd be at least close, if not an advantage. to him. I think he's got some kickboxing experience. He's definitely going to be a cut above the guys that Colvin has been facing recently in his MMA career, for sure. And this will probably be the toughest opponent for Colvin yet. Ikebana, yeah, 1-0 in the LFA, and I still think that Hunter Colvin has what it takes to get it done. You know, in his 2 MMA fights, we've seen him get it to the ground pretty easily and just go to work. So I'm thinking that he'll be able to get the takedown and then really dominate from the top position once they are on the ground. But Ikebana does have a little bit of jiu-jitsu too. I want to make sure I get that in there. I don't think he's completely helpless on the ground in this matchup, but you know, obviously Colvin, it's hard to say that anyone's going to have the advantage against him on the ground. And then moving on, at women's flyweight, we have Jacqueline Amorim against Taisha Gandhi. And Amorim, you know, this fight really reminds me of the Tabitha Ricci fight we saw on LFA recently. And, you know, Amorim competed at 2019 IBJJF No-Gi Championships. She has 2 MMA fights and 2 first-round subs. And I think she probably gets another one here. She's a massive favorite. She's like -900, -1,000 in other books. So it's really hard not to pick her coming up against someone who does not have any professional fights yet. So I'm going to go with Amorim on this one. And I feel quite confident in that pick. Then we have a welterweight matchup, Miguel Jacob against Aj Nichols. And Jacob was 2-0 as an amateur, 4-0 as a pro. He had his most recent win on Bellator by decision. He looked really good in that matchup. He's really good at distance, and he's able to fight backing up. You know, if you really want to put that pressure on him, he can move backwards and still hit you pretty well. He's got really good movement. He's just 23 years old, training at King's MMA. So, you know, alongside guys like RDA, Shogun, Fabricio Verdum, Dariush, Marvin Vittori, and more. And I saw some clips of him training at Black House MMA with Anderson Silva, so that's good to see. He seems like a confident fighter. He's got a pretty good gas tank. Didn't really seem to be too bothered by the full 3 rounds on Bellator. And then Nichols was 4-0 as an amateur, 6-2-1 as a pro. One of his losses was to Brant Moore. Really not a bad loss. And his draw was with Aaron McKenzie. And that's also another pretty strong opponent. So he's faced pretty good guys. He's got pretty good jiu-jitsu. He's got a lot of submissions. Really good wrestling and good takedowns. So I definitely see a path to victory for him here. I don't think that this is a cut and dry fight for Miguel Jacob by any means, but you know, I like the way he's been progressing. I thought he looked really good on Bellator. I really like his stand-up, and I think that if he can hold his own and kind of try to deflect as many takedowns and defend as many as he possibly can, and you know, just keep his good volume in the stand-up, I think that he is a good path to victory. So Miguel Jacob's going to be my pick, but Aj Nichols, I definitely see a path to victory for him there. And yeah, the picks don't get any easier after that. We have Jalen Fuller against Tristan Vines at 170. So Fuller is 4-0, and he has 3 finishes. 3-0 and 2 finishes in the LFA. And in his last fight, he got taken down a couple of times. And he was fighting up a weight class at 185, so I don't know how much I really read into that. We'll have to see how that looks, you know, at his own weight. But we just, same with his opponent, Tristan Vines, you know, we have just a lot of first-round finishes from these guys, so there's just not a whole lot there to dig into and really see a whole bunch of tape from one singular fight. And Fuller's got a good, really long reach at 80.5 inches, and that's going to give him a 3.5 inch reach advantage against Tristan Vines in this one. He's got good, aggressive stand-up. He's not afraid to go first and really put that pressure on. And he's a big guy, too. You know, he's a big guy. I like what I see out of Jalen Fuller a lot. And then talking about Tristan Vines, 10-2 as an amateur, and facing pretty decent competition as far as amateur records go. And he's 4-0 as a pro, fought pretty low-level guys up to this point. He's got 4 knockouts, 3 of them were in the first round. He's a dynamic striker. I like his movement. I like his head movement. He's athletic, has really fluid kicks. He's calm in the pocket, which I really like. He's got a really easygoing but firm style, like a good golf swing. And he's got a 77-inch reach, which is pretty big too. But, you know, when Fuller's got an 80.5, I mean, man, what can you do? But yeah, he's got decent wrestling and takedowns, and I think that it's going to be really close on the feet. I think these two match up well on the feet. I just like what I see from Vines, and his ability to get it to the ground. He's got a really long amateur career, 12 amateur fights and then 4 pro on top of that. I just like his the breadth of competition that we've seen from him, and I think that if he can get it to the mat, then he might have a really good path to victory here. I was watching one of his fights where he got clipped actually pretty early, and then immediately just went for the takedown and was able to get it down. Now, obviously, I think Jalen Fuller is quite a bit better than anyone he will have faced before. So that's definitely going to factor into it, but I think I'm actually going to go with Tristan Vines here, man. But this is really close. Fuller is an underdog on most books, which I find kind of surprising. So there's definitely value there if you wanted to take a stab on Fuller. I definitely see it. This is a really close matchup, and it just almost gets even closer, if that's even possible. Coming into the main event at 205, we have Anthony Kalani against T Cummins. And Anthony Kalani is 5-0 as a pro. He was a Muay Thai champion, California State champ, I believe. He's got 4 knockouts, 3 of them were in the first round in his MMA career. I think he's going to be a pretty disciplined striker, but really great power. He's got more MMA experience, and I think he's going to welcome the stand-up if that's what T Cummins wants to do. But he really hasn't fought very high-level guys in his MMA fights. And, he's been quite a bit better. And this goes for Cummins, too. Both of these guys, this is a compliment, if anything. Both of these guys have been pretty superior to their competition that they faced up until this point. I don't think that either of them have really been threatened that much in professional MMA thus far. So Cummins is 2-0 as a pro, 5-3 as an amateur. Both of his pro wins were by knockout. And then in bare knuckle, he has a knockout in 2 victories in only 2 fights, so 2-0 there as well. Undefeated guy, very strong. I think he used to be a power lifter, I think. He's really big, really strong, big frame, athletic. He completely dominated his opponent in his last MMA fight. Looked good in BKFC when he was there. But neither of the guys he fought in his bare knuckle fights had any wins in any bare knuckle bouts, so it is what it is. He's just starting off. Obviously, he's not going to be fighting top guys right away. So this is another matchup where it's just tough because these guys have fought. There's not that much to look through. Most of their fights end really quick, and it's just hard to take anything away from these guys. I will say that I do like in one of Cummins' MMA fights, I liked how he was able to get it to the mat, and his top pressure looks absolutely suffocating. He looks really good on top. And this is just such another tough one to call, man. Kalani is favored, so if you wanted to take a stab on T Cummins, I definitely see that. I think he has a path to victory. Maybe even with that wrestling and grappling, I think his top pressure is really, really good. So if he's able to get it there, I definitely see him being able to get a victory here. But I think I'm going to lean with Kalani just based on all that Muay Thai experience. A little more MMA experience. I think he's been doing Muay Thai, kickboxing type stuff for like more than a decade. So I just really like. I just think he's going to have great striking in this matchup, and I'm just going to lean Kalani. But the main and the co-main are definitely not confident picks, as confident as I am in some of the other ones on this card. So yeah, this is a really tough card. It's the undefeated night, a lot of close matchups, and this should be just really fun from an entertainment perspective. So all right, you guys know my picks, and best of luck on Friday, guys. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at LuckyLocksPicks, just in case I'm to change any of the picks here. I'll be posting them there on the day of the fight, and obviously you'll get my UFC predictions on Saturday as well. So make sure to stay tuned on my Twitter. Best of luck this Friday on LFA, and yeah, hopefully we make some money this weekend, guys.